For the past 50 years, Sociedad Latina has been helping young people in Boston find pathways to opportunity and leadership. The approach includes everything from help with education to celebrating Latinx culture and pride. To tell us about the history and the celebration on October 9th is the agency's Executive Director, Alexandra Oliver-Davila. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
And happy anniversary.
Thank you. We're very excited.
You don't go back all the way to the beginning, but tell me about your first encounter with Sociedad Latina when you were a college student.
Sure. Some young people have asked me if I was the founder, which I was not. But I'm happy to have been here for going on 21 years. But my journey started in high school. I was very fortunate to have an internship with State Representative Kevin Fitzgerald, who was representative at the time of Mission Hill. And he actually put me to work in his office and then in the summer in a summer program that he had called Mission Possible. And there is where I learned about my love for young people. And later on, as an adult, when I had a previous job, I actually had Sociedad Latina as a site where I would come in and provide youth development training to youth workers as well as just training to young people. I did that all over the state, and Sociedad was a site, so I had known them for some time.
Now, like a lot of the young people you were working with, you yourself came here from another country, and you had to make adjustments. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, I came to the States when I was 7 years old. I lived in Mexico and Argentina, and I came to Boston in middle school, and it was very challenging because when I came, I did not know how to speak English, and there was no such thing as ELL classes or anything, any kind of support. You either just, sank or swam, so I decided to swim. And definitely, I think part of my passion for working at Sociedad Latina is many of the racial experiences that I had growing up and the shame around speaking another language or being Latino, being the only family, really brought me to a place where I wanted to work that was celebrating culture and language and specifically celebrating the Latino community.
And Chris, I mean, a lot of this is standard thinking in education now about being culturally inclusive. But I imagine, going back a few decades when you were at Sociedad, this was a struggle to get other people to buy into that, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. It's nothing like today. And we still have a long way to go. But yes, the notion of using culture and language and celebrating it and viewing it as assets, it was about really checking your culture at the door and making sure you didn't show that you were different or that you spoke another language. It was a deficit. And now we know today, we talk about 21st century skills and how it's great to have another language and to be multicultural. It's a different value system than it was when I was growing up.
Chris, if you fast forward to these days also, you're just another after-school program, and every kid needs that, whether they're in the suburbs or in one of the neighborhoods in Boston, right?
Yeah, every young person does need that. Every young person needs somebody who believes in them, a place where they can go to, where they can learn things and be engaged. We are just another after-school program, but I do think we're very unique in our approach. We work with young people starting in middle school all the way to 2 years post-secondary, whether they are in college or they are in work, and 86% of them are still persisting 2 years later. And we provide many supports that are holistic, as well as academic support, opportunities for civic engagement, work readiness skills, and a lot of arts and culture. And again, going back to the valuing of our community and our identity and our language.
Well, in more privileged communities, I think just about every kid has a sense that they're going to be in charge of the world when they grow up. You have to help kids get that feeling too, don't you?
Yeah, I hope so. I think that we do, based on our impact. The last 6 years, we've had 100% of the youth we work with graduate high school. When we're working predominantly with Latino and English language learners, that's a really big feat. And we track our alumni. So we have, in our gala, we're having alumni that are coming back, from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and we kind of see their pathway and they talk about their impact. So they do want to change the world, and hopefully we inspire many more to come.
Any of those alumni you might want to tell me about who was at least an interesting story?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. But yes, we do have an alumni that actually works with Senator Warren in her office and started out as a community organizer. I have so many stories. We have another alumni who's actually one of the panelists at our event who actually was homeless and had a lot of barriers that she was facing and challenges in school, and really helped her to find a place to live and navigate through all of those pieces. And because of that, she's actually a police detective in New York, and she uses the things she learned that worked for her at Sociedad in her job as she works with many young people who are disengaged and helping them to find their way back. So I have many, many stories. I could go on, but just a few.
Because one of the other things you had to do is adjust to changes in population, because if you go back 30 or 40 years, most of the population is from Mission Hill. Most of the families are Puerto Rican. They're American citizens, so they don't worry about being deported. These days, you have a different mix of people and some anxieties out there too, right?
There's a lot of anxiety, and so we as an organization started what's called Mission Hill Rapid Response. We brought all of the organizations in the community, all of the institutions together, and really came up with a plan if any of our families should be detained by ICE. We have stopped programming and have discussions with young people. They know that they're safe in our organization, but it is definitely a different time. The population has shifted, and so that fear is very, very real for our community, and we will continue to stand by our community.
Well, I live on Mission Hill, so I think of your current building as a landmark right across the street from Mission Church practically. But you're moving to a new facility because I guess it's necessary, right? Well,
we're very excited. Not only are we turning 50, but with the help of our local institutions, the Longwood Medical Area, Colleges of Fenway, and foundations, we were able to purchase our longtime home that we've lived in for 30 years in Mission Hill. And we will be moving out in January for our renovation project. We've been able to also raise money to do these renovations. The building is a triple decker that was never meant or intended for use in terms of youth development. So we're moving off-site for a year to come back, and we will have a state-of-the-art facility that's safe, that's also accessible, and that has a STEAM lab and also has a lab for entrepreneurship, and also has spaces where we do a lot of college and post-secondary coaching. That's one-on-one as well as mentoring. We have a huge arts program, so we'll have a huge space for our performances, and then we'll have places where we can go smaller and larger, so really excited about that.
One thing I wonder, because this location, you're so close to all these institutions, including the one where your gala is going to be taking place. Is there a story to tell about things you've been able to do with that?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, we've had tensions with the institutions. I think we've come to a good place where we know that there are negative effects and negative consequences from institutional expansion, but there's also benefits. So really, our approach has been, how do we actually work with these institutions to bring greater resources into the community? And at the same time, when necessary, we will stand up and say our community does not agree with X, Y, and Z. So really trying to make sure that we have an open communication with our institutions, and we view them as a partner, similar that they view us, and they take seriously the things we have to say, positive and negative.
Well, you're going to be having an event at the Museum of Fine Arts.
Yes.
What have you got planned for that exactly?
Yeah, and we're really grateful. That's one of our great partners that is hosting us. We actually will have a networking fun portion. We will have a lot of alumni there, so it'll be really exciting. We plan to have Jose Meso is our Master of Ceremonies.
From Consalsa?
Yes, from Consalsa. And we actually have two note speakers, John Cruz from Cruz Company, and we also have Manny Perez, who is a Dominican actor who's gotten a lot of accolades and awards, and we'll have an alumni panel, and all of the ticket sales and the sponsorships are going towards our overall capital campaign. And again, it's just a celebration to say we're here. It is a big feat to be 50 years old and be a Latino-led organization that is still here and is thriving and is strong.
How do the young people that you're working with right now feel about this? I mean, I'm imagining in some rooms seeing people like this come. What do you think it'll be like for them?
For the event, I think they're going to be super excited because they'll be able to network, and they know it's a really great opportunity to meet people that they wouldn't probably meet on their pathway, and so I think it's going to be really fun. And we're also having our alumni band is performing, so we have a lot of alumni again that continue with us, and we have an alumni band that performs all over the city and they'll also be performing at the event.
We should mention that if people want any more details about the event or just the programs that you're running all the time, is there any way they can check that out?
Oh yes, they can go to our website, which is just World Wide Web, sociedadlatina.org. It will tell information about our organization as well as have a link to actually purchase tickets or make a donation for our capital campaign, which again supports renovations as well as our staffing growth, because we've grown from working with 2,000 young people to 5,000 since 2011.